Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maria, and on this channel I will be doing draping, pattern making, sewing tutorials, and so much more. So recently I got a request on centimeters and inches. So in this video I will be discussing the difference between both. So go get your favorite measuring tape and let's get into this. A measuring tape has inches on one side and centimeters on the other. Some fashion designers use inches and some use centimeters, but there are some that use both. I like to use both units. So here we have different measurement systems, also known as unit of length. These are the same answers. For an example, the first fraction is 11 7/8, and if you turn it into inches, it will be 11.875. But if you decide to turn it into centimeters, it will be 30.1. Example number 2 has a fraction of 3 5/8. Turn that into inches and it will be 3.625. And if you want it in centimeters, it will be 9.2. These are three measurements fashion designers use. First, let's discuss inches. Here we have an example of 5 7/8. If you add, divide, multiply, or subtract it by any whole number or another fraction, the answer will be in inches. If you look closely, you will see that 5 of the answers can actually turn into a fraction or inches. It's one of the marks on the measuring tape, which means you don't have to round it off. Once you start to understand inches, you will know immediately that it's a fraction. But the other three answers, you will have to round off in inches. That's because it's not one of the lines on the measuring tape. Do you know which ones are the 5 answers? I'll give you a second to think about it. All right, I'm back. If your answers are these, then you got it right. 0.875, 0.125, 0.625, and 0.8125 is a mark on the measuring tape. Most of the time, we use a measuring tape that has 16 marks, and each of these marks is a fraction. So screenshot this to keep this for yourself, okay guys? This is also a picture of fractions. Underneath each fraction is inches. So for an example, you have 3/8 as a fraction. But if you turn that 3/8 into inches, it will be 0.375. These are your answers. As you can see, these are easy. Once you memorize the inches that belong to the fractions on the measuring tape, here is how I memorized it. Take a look at all the 16s. Then look at the inches underneath. What do they all have in common? They all have 4 digits. Now look at all the 8s. Then look at the inches underneath. What do they all have in common? They all have 3 digits. Next, look at the 4ths, then look at the inches underneath. They have 2 digits, which is the quarter, and the other one is 3/4. And the last one is the queen, which is 1 digit. That's 0.5, which is a 1/2 inch. So now when I look at inches, I know if it's the 16s or the 8s or the quarters or the queen of all trade. Don't mind me, that's how I memorize things. Because when I was in college, there was so much to learn, I had to figure out ways to memorize things. So this is how it will look. The 8.875 is 8 7/8. The 0.875 is a mark on the measuring tape, which is the same as 7/8. Now you know anything over 4 digits will not be a mark on the measuring tape. So what happens when the numbers are not one of the marks on the measuring tape? Well, that means that it will be somewhere in between the marks and you have to round it off to get your answer. So let me show you. First, here's a rule you should always remember when it comes to inches and centimeters. You have to find a place which has the yellow line underneath and look next door, which will have an arrow on top. If next door is 5 or more, raise the score. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. For an example, the 5 7/8 divided by 4 came out to 1.46875 in inches. Let's round it off on the hundreds, which is 2 digits after the decimal. As you can see, next door is more than 5. So you have to raise 6 and make it 7. Once it becomes 7, everything after 7 gets dropped. So it becomes 1.47. And on the measuring tape, the 1.47 will be somewhere in between the marks. Let's try another one. 5 7/8 divided by 2 3/4 equals 2.136363. Lord! Anyway, so you guys got the point. So we look next door and it's a 6. So what that means is we have to make 3 a 4 and everything else gets dropped. So it becomes 2.14. If you look at the measuring tape, you're going to notice that it is in between marks. Next up, I'm going to show you how to find 1.47 on the measuring tape. Once you memorize these fractions in inches, it will make it easier for you. Also, if you want this in a PDF so you can print it out and put it on your wall, let me know in the comments and I will make a PDF with both pages. Let's take a look at 1.47 inches. We're always going to focus on the numbers after the decimal. For an example, we got 0.47. If you look closely, 0.47 is between 0.4375 and 0.5. That means it's between 7/16 and a half inch. As you can see, the ruler on the bottom shows you it's between 1 and 7/16 and 1.5, but closer to 1.5. Let's try another one. This time we have 0.14. 0.14 is between 0.125 and 0.1875. That means it's between 1/8 and 3/16. So on the ruler on the bottom, it's between 2 and 1/8 and 2 and 3/16. I got a surprise for you guys. Since I love you guys so much, I decided to give you the 2 websites I use for the rulers. If you are just learning about inches, use these websites to help you out so you don't have to get stressed out when you're trying to figure out where's the inches on the ruler. One of the websites go up to 12 inches and the other one goes up to 100 inches. Once you memorize these fractions and inches on your screen, then you don't need the websites anymore. So screenshot this to keep this for yourself, okay guys? Here's a quiz before we move on to the next subject, which is centimeters. Question 1. Is 9.625 a mark on the measuring tape or is it between marks on the measuring tape? Question 2. 4.64 inches is between which marks on the measuring tape? When it comes to pattern making, there are some designers that have their own way of making patterns, and some designers like to use pattern making books. These books can be in centimeters or in inches. Next is centimeters. This is a centimeter ruler. On this ruler, there are 10 little marks between 0 and 1. These are called millimeters. 10 millimeters make 1 centimeter. Millimeters are very small. It's smaller than centimeters. And centimeters is smaller than inches. Let's start with some examples. Here's a button and it stops at the 8th mark, which is 8 millimeters. It's not a centimeter yet, but almost. So the big numbers are centimeters and inside the centimeters is millimeters. But we don't say millimeters, we just say 0.3. For an example, this is 16.3. 16 is the centimeters and 3 is the millimeters. But we don't say that. We just say 16.3 centimeters. Let's do another one. This is 76.5 centimeters. So on the ruler, you got 76 centimeters. And then you count the little marks and stop at the 5th mark. That's 76.5 centimeters. Let's try one more. This is 99.6 centimeters. So on the ruler, you got 99 centimeters. Then you count the little marks and stop at the 6th mark. That's 99.6 centimeters. If you are using your calculator and you want to know how to change inches to centimeters, you can convert it with this formula. Remember, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So 14.5 times 2.54 equals 36.83 centimeters. That's your answer. You can multiply any fraction to 2.54 and you will get your centimeters. If your measurements are in centimeters and you want them in inches, you can use the same formula. But this time, divide your centimeters into 2.54 and you will get your inches. Some pattern making books will ask you to find a measurement from A to B, then divide it by 3. Don't forget the rules. Find a place and look next door. If next door is 5 or more, raise the score. If it's not, let it rest. All right, so here we have example number 1. 14.5 is from A to B, and we divided it by 3. It came out to 12.276 and so on. This time we rounded off to the tens place, which is 1 place after the decimal. We're in the place and we look next door. You will notice it's more than 5. So we changed the 2 into 3 and dropped everything, and your answer will be 12.3 centimeters. Let's do example number 2. In the book, it tells you to find the next circumference, then divide it by 6. So 26.352 divided by 6 is 4.392. Round it off in the tens place and your answer is 4.4 centimeters. Hopefully this video was helpful to you so far. If it did, please give this video a like and share it with like-minded people. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Next up is pattern making books. This is Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong. I have a few things to say about this book. First, this is the best book out of all books. The only thing that's not good is when you want to draft a bodice with your own measurements. I hear a lot of people tell me that the armhole looks really weird or the armhole is too small. I think it's because the two measurements right here. When measuring these two measurements on a real person, it may not come out right on the paper. So I usually tell beginners to use one of the sizes in the book so they can understand how to draft a pattern. Then from there, they can make a muslin and do the fitting on the person's body. There's other books I use for drafting. This is one of them, the Natalie Bray book. This book is in centimeters and it's very easy to draft a pattern. This would be good for beginners. As you can see, I have my dress form measurements in inches and centimeters. This book has a measurement chart so you can pick a size. You can use the size chart in the book or you can use your own measurements. The choice is yours. Also, in the book, there's a proportion chart you have to use. Whether you are using the size chart in the book or you're using your own measurements. You have to use the chart or you won't be able to make the pattern. So the question I get asked a lot is, can you make this pattern in inches instead of centimeters? The answer is yes. You can convert it into inches. I will explain it more in detail when it's time to make this pattern. Stay tuned for that. I will also show you how to draft patterns from other books, like this book, this book, this one, and so much more. Stay tuned for more. In the meantime, if you're interested in making different types of corset loops, then I have a playlist right here for you. Click right here and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to practice, practice, practice. Bye, everybody.